Good morning. This is Adam Bonsky, the CEO and President of the ABC Insurance Trust. Thank you all for joining us here on a Monday morning. What we're doing here today is to learn more about a payroll solution built just for contractors called Payroll4Construction, and that's the payroll number 4 construction. They are a sister company to Foundation Software. And Foundation Software and Payroll4Construction have been serving construction contractors for decades. Foundation Software has been around, I think, for over 40 years now. They are business partners of ABC National and have been so for decades. They're the only payroll service that the ABC Insurance Trust recommends to its clients. So the main goal today is to give you more background, more education on just how terrific, how uniquely suited Payroll4Construction is for working with construction contractors, specifically around their payroll needs. So thanks again for joining us. This call will be recorded. You can drop questions on the right panel under the question box at any time during the call, and we'll take those questions at the end. Also, at any time, you can press the red arrow on the right panel to minimize it so you can see the whole screen, or move the panel anywhere else on the screen other than on the right side there. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Alex Gray. He is a regional sales manager at Foundation Software. And specifically, I think Alex works on the Payroll4Construction business line. And he's going to walk us through Payroll4Construction.
Thank you, Adam. And I want to again thank everyone for taking the time out of their busy schedules to join us here today. And like Adam said, we'll be going over a nice high-level overview of Payroll4Construction, our construction-specific payroll provider here. And so what this next slide here is, this is my contact information. I'll pull this up again at the end of the discussion here today. What we do is we also hold live one-on-one demonstrations. So after the high-level overview here today, if you guys had any more like in-depth questions, we do hold one-on-one demonstrations. So we'd be able to kind of custom tailor a conversation about our service to kind of fit what your companies may need for our service here. So going ahead and jumping right into it here today, meet Payroll4Construction.com. So what are we? We are an online payroll service provider that's just for construction. So like your companies, like ADP, like your paychecks, we are the full service provider. So we will print the paychecks, export the direct deposits, send those to the employees, as well as take on the tax reporting for your company. So the weekly, monthly, quarterly, the annual for that federal, state. If anyone has local taxes that they need to report, we will take on that liability in the reporting for you, as well as the distribution of the W-2s to your employees at the end of the year. We process payroll in all 50 states in the U.S. Again, we are only working with construction-specific clients in those 50 states. And like Adam had mentioned, we are powered by Foundation Software that has 35 years of experience in the construction industry. So the advantage Payroll4Construction provides is we are powered by the full ERP accounting software, where what we realized back in 2008 when Payroll4Construction was founded, that we are able to rip certain portions of the job costing, the payroll module, and our general ledger, and created a payroll service that is just for construction. So we are speaking the language that you're going to see in the construction industry and can help alleviate the difficulties that come with a construction payroll. And again, what we do, we pay your employees your taxes, and we automate reports like job costing, certified payroll, and EEO, minority compliance reporting. I'll show you guys some examples of these reports inside the system here and a little bit later on in the demonstration. So our first slide here, what does Payroll4Construction actually do? So we are a construction-specific payroll provider. So those contractors that are working in multiple states, they are working in multiple localities. We are able to set up tax tables that can track automatically the changing rates that you may have for tax reporting purposes for these jobs that are going across multiple states. For our contractors that are working in states like Kentucky and Ohio, there's a number of local tax requirements and reporting purposes that we need to automate and track. So we are also able to track the multi-localities inside the software. So again, those contractors that are working across multiple states or working in a state that's going to have that local tax tracking requirements for them, we are able to set up and automatically track in the system for you as you are running your payroll on a weekly or biweekly basis. The third item on the list here, we are able to automate pay rates for prevailing wage. So those contractors that are working on the government contract jobs, we are able to set up rate tables that's going to automatically pull in the above scale that we may need to pay to an employee based on what that government contract is requiring for us. So we'll automatically set up these tables behind the scenes as we're running payroll, coding what these guys are doing for that job on that day. We are able to have the system look at the table, automatically pull in that above scale pay rate for that employee, and then be able to pay out that above scale rate that we need to tie to that employee, as well as then automatically generate those certified payroll reports that we need to tie in to the prevailing wage contract. The fourth item on the list here is the fringe calculation. So with those government contract jobs, we may need to have a sort of a prevailing wage cash fringe that we're required to pay to the employee, and we are able to set up and track as well automatically that prevailing wage fringe. We are also able to do a reduction factor or a fringe credit, as we like to say. So with that government contract, we may be already in providing an employee some benefits at a rate of $7 an hour for that fringe, but the government is requiring us to say, hey, we need to then provide this fringe at a rate of $12 an hour, where we have that difference of $5 that we're already providing the $7 an hour, but we need to have that above scale. We're able to reduce that fringe down by the $5 there and save some money for the company, so we're not stacking the $7 and the $12 on top of each other and paying those two fringes together, so we can save the company some money on the payroll cost there. And the system will automatically track that fringe reduction, how we need to have it set up. And we're going to be able to do the same thing with workers' compensation. So we are able to set up that workers' compensation policy inside your system. As we're running payroll, we can have it be tracked by type of work performed. Also, the system will allow us to set up caps based on this employee, where if we're only calculating workers' compensation payment amounts based on straight hours, we need to exclude those overtime hours. We can set up caps inside the system, and the system will automatically track those workers' compensation amounts for us. Moving on to the second slide here. What Payroll for Construction also will do is our construction specific reporting. So again, we are only working with construction clients. So we're going to have construction specific reports that will be automatically generated for you based on your payroll run that are going to be construction specific. So these reports are going to speak your language. They're not going to be a generic report that you'll see with these other providers that have a certain number of clients working a number of trades and number of businesses. Our reports are construction specific. Some of the reports that we provide here are going to be our certified payroll, the EEO minority compliance reporting, as well as our job, labor, and burden cost reports. So the system will be able to provide full job, labor, and burden cost breakdowns based by job, by employee, give us our exact costs in the breakdown of our job, labor, and burden by employee down to the penny. As well as those workers' compensation reports. So however we set up your policy inside the system, when we're running payroll, our workers' compensation payment amounts will be automatically provided for us. As well as 401k, we can set up 401k deductions based on a policy plan inside a company, track those to the employee, and those will automatically be deducted from the employee's paycheck, and we will be able to run reports that provide us a full breakdown of what the 401k payment may need to be to that provider for said week. And then the last reporting on this list here is going to be child support and other garnishments. So any of those garnishments that you may be handling inside the company, we are able to provide those reports for you. And if you wanted Payroll4Construction to take on and handle the payment of those garnishments, that is another service that we provide through Payroll4Construction, where we can handle the tracking and the payment of those garnishments if you wanted to fully outsource. But if a client decided to, hey, I just want to have you guys take care of the checks and direct deposits and my tax reporting, I want to keep those garnishments in-house, I have no problem doing so. You can elect to keep the garnishments in-house if you so wanted to. The third slide here, what we do, those traditional payroll service items. So we're going to pay your employees via check or direct deposit. We are going to pay your taxes, the weekly, the monthly, the quarterly, the annually. When we pay those taxes, we are taking the money out of the account. We will provide you a full report breakdown of what went on with that payroll run, how much we had for the FUTA, the SUTA, how much we are pulling for your tax requirements, what they were for that payroll period. We're going to give you a report that's going to have that full breakdown of what we are doing tax-wise for your previous payroll run. We will also handle the quarterly and the annual returns. And like I had mentioned earlier, the W-2s, and we also offer some other year-end services for the payroll-wise that our tax team, our trained professionals can handle for you guys when it comes time to generate those year-end services. The fourth slide here, what else makes us different? So what we have here, even though we are your payroll provider, we know that you guys are working with other accounting softwares. One of our biggest clients we have here is our QuickBooks users. So those clients that are using QuickBooks or other accounting programs, we are able to create an integration where you run payroll through us, but we still need to get those labor costs back to your full accounting software so you can see the full breakdown in that reporting with your job costs with that labor included. So we do have an integration tool that we can push payroll information back into a QuickBooks database or other accounting programs that your companies may be using. Our only focus, again, is construction. We're only working with construction clients, so we're going to keep up to date with the state of the industry, what's going on tax reporting-wise in all 50 states, and our professionals are here. Our teams are only working with construction clients, so they'll be able to provide you guys with the best assistance to help ease and make your payroll more efficient and effective so you guys can focus on other important tasks at your companies. Tying into that staff of professionals with the experienced construction payroll, with the time card entry screen, you're able to manually enter time card information into the system. But if your company is using a mobile application, we are able to import time from other mobile application providers into Payroll4Construction. Have a number of different ways we can set up that time card import feature. But if someone wasn't using a mobile application and wanted to kind of put the burden of the employees getting their time in entered from the field, we also have a mobile product that we offer that can get time into the system if you wanted to go that route. Payroll4Construction here, we are a web-based system, so you'll have web-based access anytime from anywhere with an internet connection, and we can set this up on the computer at the office. But if you have someone in the office that's going to be taking a laptop back home, working from home with how today's times are going, we are able to then bring this on a laptop to home and set it up and be able to work from multiple locations as long as we have that internet connection. Then the last item on this list here is going to be, we have an online stub portal for your employees to receive their pay stubs electronically. So if we had the entire staff of field guys on direct deposit, or you wanted them to be able to see previous pay information without you running a report in the system, we do have an online portal that an employee would be able to log in, see their previous pay information, see paid time off hours if we're tracking any PTO in the company, and they would be able to run an earnings and deductions report for previous periods for a week at a time or for all time if they so wanted to. Slide here, how a payroll is processed. So what a client would do is they would log in online, access their Payroll4Construction database. From there, they would then enter or import their time cards. So again, they're using that mobile application, we can import into the system. But if we only have a couple of guys, we want to manually enter their hours by hand, we would need to get those hours into the system. Once the hours are entered, we will have a number of reports, a number of registers that we would be able to run to review our time card hours, make sure all the hours are correct for our guys, and even be able to run a register to show us our payroll calculations. So show us what our taxes are for that week, even a report to show us what our guy is going to be paid to the penny if we were to submit payroll for processing to Payroll4Construction. Once the time card entries and hours and the payroll calculations have been reviewed, then a client would simply submit payroll with the click of a button. That time, those hours are then sent off to Payroll4Construction. We are handling the checks and direct deposits, filing the tax information for you, making those tax deductions, and then essentially your payroll is processed. Within an hour, you'll have all the reports available to you of what went on with that payroll run. So what I will do here now is I will go ahead and jump into the software here. So what you guys are seeing now is Payroll4Construction. What our software looks like. This is the screen a user would be greeted with once they sign into our system here. So the first item with this is payroll maintenance. So with Payroll4Construction.com, you're going to get a trainer that is assigned to you that will help with setup of the Payroll4Construction database. So you guys are provided a blank database that we're going to update your information from your previous system, or if update your employee information, get this custom tailored to what you guys are going to be seeing as a company, that data that you're going to be familiar with that you need to see. So the first item here is our payroll maintenance. With those prevailing wage rates that I described earlier, we are able to set up prevailing wage tables to then have the system track those above scale pays that we're going to need for those guys working the government contracts. So inside where it says pay rates here, you're going to see that we have a number of tables that we are able to set up here for. So no matter how many prevailing wage jobs you may have, we will be able to set up a prevailing wage job based on individual jobs. If we're going to have the same rates for the same job, we can tie this to the same job, but have the ability to enter however many prevailing wage tables we need to set up here. So once this is set up, we can then say, hey, my iron workers, if they're working this trade, working this task on a job, this is the pay rate I'm going to need for my guy here. The system's going to look at the employee record. If this pay rate is above scale for the employee, it's higher than what we need to pay them on the commercial job, the system's going to automatically pull in this above scale pay rate for us. I'll show you guys an example of this in action here once we get to the enter time cards feature in a moment. But this is the tables that we would be able to set up for the prevailing wage jobs. You'll also see that it says union numbers up here. You guys can ignore that. We also work with union clients here, but with this is the same spot that we're going to set up those prevailing wage tables. We'll be able to change some language around the system to show you guys that this is for your prevailing wage jobs. Once we have the pay rate set up for those prevailing wage jobs, then we are able to set up that prevailing wage cash fringe that we may need to track for the prevailing wage work. So we are able to jump into the deductions/fringes table here, and for the same thing. So for my prevailing wage job 1, my job 971021, I'm able to come in here and say, hey, I have a prevailing wage cash fringe that I need to tie to my job 9701. We can base it off of a number of types, how we want it to calculate hours worked, hours paid. We have a percentage, then what exactly that amount is, and if we want it to be taxable. Then once this table is set up, we are able to tie it into the job record and have the system automatically track that prevailing wage cash fringe amount. So whether we need this paid to the employee or we're sending it off to a prevailing wage if we're part of a fringe benefit group, we'll be able to have the system automatically track the fringe information we need for these prevailing wage jobs. All right, so a number of other items that we would set up inside payroll maintenance here. If we need to enter that prevailing wage fringe reduction credit that I had discussed earlier, we are able to set up that information, as well as your workers' compensation. So if we need it broken out by class, whatever those rates are for the workers' compensation. And if we need to set up any caps, we would be able to do so with your trainer. And then the last item would be here is getting your employees into the system. We do have an import feature that we can import a large number of employees once you sign on, so you're not going through manually entering all the employee information. And then on there, we're able to set up PTO information, their pay rates for their private jobs, what their deductions are going to be for federal, for state, if we have any PTO, if we wanted to break out bank deposits, those direct deposits to a number of banks. There's a number of items that we'll be able to set up on the employee record inside the system. So after payroll maintenance is set up, what would be the last spot of setup for a client to do inside Payroll for Construction? That would be our job costing and getting those jobs set up inside the system. So even though we have job information running inside your main accounting software, we still need to get some basic job information inside Payroll for Construction. That way, if we need to generate any certified reports for these jobs, or simply tie the employees to that job of what they were working on, we still need to get some basic job information set up in the system. So there would be a few items that a client would have to go through and check off for the job setup inside Payroll for Construction here. So what a client would do here. For my example, if you're using a QuickBooks or another accounting software, we would want your job number to match what that job number is inside your main accounting software. So if I had my job, let's say it's 123 here, and whatever my job name is, job 123, then whatever my job name is going to be, I would put in that description and then be able to then track what my job name and number is in the system. Then, if we are working in a multi-states, multi-localities, we are able to then track where this job is on the job record, and able to, then the system is automatically going to track the tax requirements for us. So for my example here for Ohio, we have a number of different localities that we would have to report to. So we are then able to set up the requirements for the tax purposes here, tie it directly to the job record. Then for a client who's working those prevailing wage jobs, we need to have those certified payroll reports automatically generated in the system for us. We have the certified payroll button here that we would check with the click of a button. The system's then going to know to generate those certified reports for us once it comes time to upload those to the system or send them off to wherever we need to provide said reports. A beautiful thing about Payroll4Construction.com is the system's very forgiving here. So if I were to come in and set up my job 12 here today, and even though this is a certified job, I forgot to check off the certified payroll box, I can come back in here at any time, recheck off this checkbox, and the system will then look back at my previous hours entered and automatically generate those certified reports for us. So if we missed a mistake here, very easy to update the job information. Then it's going to then look at the other portions of the system we need to update and do so by default, saving us some time there if we happen to be in a rush and forget to check off this checkbox. The other item that we would need to set up here is if we are saying that this is a prevailing wage job, we are then able to tie those tables that we had set up with those rates that we needed to pay our guys to the job record here. So what I would do, I would come into my rate table here and simply find that prevailing wage job table that I had set up in the system, and then do the same for our fringes as well. Then once I have this job set up, I then go run my hours through the system, generate my payroll. The system's going to automatically be able to look at my prevailing wage table with that fringe information and automatically track this for us. The last note that I'll make about Payroll for Construction here is you're going to see there's a number of fields that you have available to enter information on this screen. That's just because, again, we are powered by that full job costing accounting ERP system. So even though there's a number of fields that you can enter information here, we're not going to have to use every single field here if you're just a payroll client with us. All right, so now our payroll maintenance has been complete. We have our job set up here. What's the next step for a client here? All right, it's time for us to enter time. And so we can then go to our enter time card screen here. Once we are in the enter time card screen, I'll show you guys a manual entryway here, just so I can show you the action of how the system pulls in our prevailing wage tables versus our private work here. So with my time card format here, I can select my guy Rick here and then begin entering the hours and information that he worked in this week. So what I will have here is my job 12 up here at the top. This is going to be my commercial, my private job here. I have a rate set up on Rick's employee record of what he needs to be paid for my commercial, my private work. But then if I come in here and enter hours for my job 97051 here and my job 97061 here, these are going to be two prevailing wage jobs that I have set up in the system here. So select my jobs that my guy was working on here, and I can then begin entering my hours here. If he was working across two jobs in a day, we are able to break out hours. The system would easily track that for us, and then basically just enter our information of what he worked on the week. Then what I can do here is go ahead and click OK. What the system is going to do then for us here is it's going to look at the information that we had set up inside of the system for our prevailing wage table and automatically pull in those rates for these guys here. So you can see with my private job, my job 12 here, my guy Rick is supposed to be getting $15 an hour per his private job status on his employee record. But my job 97051 here, he's then pulling in the prevailing wage rate table that we had defined on the employee record for him. So this is my prevailing wage job. Even though he's supposed to get $15 per hour on his employee record, he's working as an electrician on this prevailing wage 3 job for me. So it then pulled in the $22.50 by default for Rick here. So the system is going to automatically look at the job, make sure it's a commercial job or a prevailing wage job, and then pull in that required rate for us. So we're not having to go in and then manually put in pay rate information for each individual guy on each individual day. The system's doing the heavy lifting for us. The other example I'll show here, if we had someone that is using an outside mobile application, we need to set up that time card import. Very easy for us to do. We would set up what we need that import to be for a user here. All a client would need to do is simply select that payroll file from their desktop information. That file will then import into the system for them. Go ahead and click next, click finish. The system is then going to pull in that information that we imported into the system. And with the simple click of a button of the OK here, the system's going to pull in my pay rates based on what we had set up inside the Payroll4Construction based on our job information. So you'll see I have some commercial jobs in here. I have my prevailing wage job here, and then I'll also have a separate prevailing wage job down here. So we are able to easily pull in hours outside the system, have the system do the heavy lifting for us. Once our hours are then entered here, we have a number of reports that we can then use to go over, make sure our information is correct here. So our first report that we would have available to here is our time card list proofing report. With the reports inside Payroll4Construction.com, we have a criteria tab that lets us run these in a number of formats, so we can custom tailor them to how a client would want to run said report. So with those sort options, we can do it by job, by employee, transaction date, a number of different formats that we can run these for. But when I run my list, it's going to bring in those hours I had entered into the system, then allow me to jump around and even drill down into my hours to see what was going on that time card information. So if I saw anything here that I needed to change, I can click on that number highlighted in blue. It's going to allow me to drill down into that employee's time card, take me to the exact spot of where the information was incorrect that we need to update. We can make said change, click OK, add it back to our list for our payroll run here. And then with those reports, we'll have a number of registers that we can run to give us that screenshot, what's going on with our payroll run. So see our tax information, how much an employee's making here, see if we had an employee that was not getting paid this week. But with that pre-check register, we'd be able to then run the report, see what our guys are getting paid to the penny with that paycheck information, with the FICA, the state, the federal, any deductions we may have, any fringes would all be included here so that we can then double check what our guys are getting paid before we submit this off to Payroll4Construction. So we've used these two reports. Our other reports that are available to us, payroll's looking good. All right, we go ahead and click submit payroll. It's sent off to Payroll4Construction. Then what you're going to have available to you is those reports inside the system that you can run to see your payroll information. So our first report here, our workers' compensation information. We can run these again with a number of different format options, broken out by job, by employee, but we are then able to have these broken out by class, by employee, and what is exactly going on. And like I had mentioned earlier, we are then able to set up caps for the workers' compensation information for our employees. So for my guy Arthur here, for his overtime hours, he had $63 of gross earnings, but we only wanted that to be calculated based on his straight time. So that's why we had the $42 actually exposed to the workers' compensation here. So can then again set up those caps based on your workers' compensation policy, hopefully save you guys some money based on those caps that we had set up on workers' comp. Again, we have the EEO minority compliance. So we have some print report options here, but if you're uploading to an electronic provider online, we can also generate an electronic upload. But for this report format here, I'll show you one of our U.S. Department of Labor reports here for the EEO minority compliance. So as we're running payroll through the system, these reports are going to be automatically generated and tracked in the system for you. So one of our report formats here, again, it's going to automatically pull in the information based on what we had set up for the job information here. And if I was missing any information here at the top, I could simply go back to the job record, update that information in the system that I need to, go back, run said report, the system will update the info for me. EEO minority compliance, we could run an earnings and deduction statement if an employee wanted to see what their previous pay had been. And then with those working the prevailing wage certified payroll jobs, we have electronic uploads online, but also print versions as well. So if anyone's using the LCP tracker, uploading online, we do have the ability to pull a file outside of your system and then directly create this file, upload said file online, saving you time where you're not manually generating these certifieds in Excel or however other processes companies may be going through. But once I click report here, you're going to see that this isn't the cleanest report to read. That's because this is a file that's being generated for an upload online. I simply click close here. It's going to say this file has not been created. Do you want to create file now? I'd click yes. The file would be saved to my computer, my desktop, wherever I wanted it saved. I can then access the LCP tracker, my upload online portal, and then upload that XLM file to the LCP tracker or the portal online. But if those that are not working with an electronic upload state, we do offer over 60 different print versions here. So I won't go through and show everyone through here. I can just scroll to show you guys. We're processing payroll in all 50 states. So if you need a print version, we most likely have it. And our team here is constantly working and updating these forms, keeping them up to date with the latest reporting requirements for the construction industry. But again, I'll show you our U.S. Department of Labor format here. This is that print version. So what I do is click report after I entered my date range. It's then going to pull in the certified information that I need to be generated for my jobs here. And the system will also do no work performed certifieds if a client needed those, and we'll also be able to add in those signature remarks pages as well. Then with our reports here, very easy to pull out the system, PDF, Word, Excel, the click of a button, define where you want it saved onto your desktop. That is then saved for you. You'll see here we have a number of reports available for a client to run. If you don't use them, you still have them. You'll have them free of cost to you. They'll be included in the payroll processing fee through Payroll4Construction, but there will be no additional fee to run said reports, and these are available to you guys at any time. The last report I'll show here is our burden job summary report. So with construction payroll. We know that we may be saying, my guy's getting a rate of $15 an hour, but once everything is taken into account, he's going to cost us more than that $15 an hour. So our burden job summary report here is going to allow us to break this down by job, by employee, with a number of different report breakdowns here, and give us our exact employee breakdown to the penny of what he is costing us with all of our payroll information involved. So take his hours, his earnings, bring in that FICA, the FUTA, the SUTA, workers' comp, whatever we have going on at the company, and provide us our full cost breakdown to the penny of what my employee is costing me on our jobs, so I can have that full cost breakdown, that job costing information for my jobs to help us more efficiently see what's going on payroll-wise inside the company. Again, that's a high-level overview of Payroll4Construction here. We hold these demonstrations live one-on-one, so we are able to then get into the system, kind of show you spots inside the system that you may be needing to take advantage of, and give you guys a more custom-tailored demonstration here. But then I have one other slide that I want to show here. So what is our typical client for Payroll4Construction.com? Our typical client is contractors of varying sizes and trades who simply want to efficiently process payroll, eliminate the confusing tax filings, and receive those automated construction reporting so they can get the data they need to see what's going on with their payroll burden inside the company. We work with contractors of varying sizes. We have companies that are processing 1 employee on a payroll run. We have companies that are processing 1,000 employees on a payroll run. We are able to handle, no matter what size your company is, we deal with contractors of all varying sizes and trades. We are built for contractors with specific construction payroll needs. So those who are looking for more detailed job costing, those that have the prevailing wage work, we are the payroll service provider. We are a go-to for you. We're going to speak your construction language. So those contractors working in multiple states, working in multiple localities, they may also have the prevailing wage jobs, or they're not working prevailing wage jobs. They're not working in multiple states. They're not working in multiple localities. They are just looking for more detailed job costing to have the efficient and effective data of what's going on with those payroll runs. Payroll4Construction is going to be the service for you. We will give you that full clarity of what's going on job costing information-wise at the company. And what's the value that Payroll4Construction is going to provide for you? Time saving with efficient payroll processing, the automated creation of those job cost reports, the certified report creation. We're automating the pay rates, the handlings of the tax filings, and the payments of your employees. We're taking that payment, the burden of the tax filings off your guys' chest so you can focus on what's ultimately important at the company, which is getting the job done on time, under budget, and meeting your goals of what you need for your clients, because payroll is the last thing you guys need to worry about. That's where we're going to come in and help hopefully alleviate that burden that you guys are seeing payroll-wise at your companies. So what I'll do here is I will open it up for questions now. So you will see a questions box located in your attendees panel on the side here. So if anyone has any questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat on the questions box, and I can answer those for you. And again, we also hold demonstrations here. So if no one's having any questions jumping out to them right now, my information is there on the screen. So feel free to reach out to me via email, phone call. If you want to set up a demonstration or have a quick question about the service, we can definitely set some time aside to have a discussion about Payroll4Construction. All right, so I'll give it a couple of more seconds here, seeing if we have any questions rolling in. All right, it's not looking like we're going to have anything in the chat here. So I really want to, again, thank everyone for taking the time out of your busy schedules today here to join us for this quick webinar on Payroll4Construction.com. Again, if anyone wanted to set up a live one-on-one demonstration, my contact information is on the screen here. Feel free to reach out at any time. We can get something set up on the calendar for you, take you through a quick 30-minute demonstration of Payroll for Construction and see if we are a fit for you guys. So one more time here, just want to thank everyone for taking the time to join us here today. If you have any questions, reach out to myself or Adam, and hope everyone has a great rest of their day, has a great rest of their week here, and thanks again for joining.